I am honored today, actually, to introduce Kim Scofi. I've had the privilege of knowing and working with Kim for several months, not quite a year now, but almost. And I know her to be the real deal in every possible way. Kim is the founder and president of United Military Care, a nonprofit that's been serving military veterans throughout Georgia for the past 10 years. She comes from a long line of military veterans. In fact, someone from her family has served in our military in every war since the Revolutionary War. She has served veterans through nonprofit organizations for 19 years so far, including as operations director, development director, executive director, board member, and founder, president of 2 different organizations. In 2018, she was recognized for her exceptional service to veterans by being awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for Civilians. You know anybody else? As part of her introduction, I would like for Skip to show a 2-minute video that she produced that really sets the stage for what United Military Care does. Thank you.
Kim, come on up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting us to come break bread with you and talk with you. I'd like to introduce Peggy Biascacheo, who's also with me with United Military Care. Both of us are from military families, and we believe that there should be no hungry, no homeless, and no forgotten veterans. Right now, as we sit here and enjoy this wonderful meal, there are veterans who wonder where their next meal is coming from. And we have to believe that. We can't look over that. We have to come together as society and realize that there are people who are hungry, there are people who are homeless, there are people who are sleeping on the streets every night. As a matter of fact, right now in Atlanta, there's something called the PIT count, point in time count, that is going on where they go out and they try to count how many homeless there are. I have a prize for anybody who can raise their hand and tell me how they count homeless veterans. Anybody got an idea? Somebody's going to get a prize. They go out in the middle of the night, civilians escorted with a police officer to known areas where homeless are, shine a flashlight in their face and say, "Are you a veteran?" And if they say yes, they get a tally mark. Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody approached me in the middle of the night, I'm under a bridge, Even though it's outside, it's my safe place, it's my place. You put a flashlight in my face, I'm going to give you whatever answer I think you want to hear so that I can be safe. That's how this country counts our homeless veterans. So that tells me a number of things. One, not enough people care that we have men and women who served our country that are sleeping under a bridge. Because if they did, they would find another way to get an accurate count and then do something about it. So we put together a program to try and address that. I can't emphasize enough how many homeless veterans are out there. These are not people who just decided one day they didn't want to go to work and they didn't want to be part of society. Those people do exist. There are people who that choose not to be in society. Some of these have injuries, mental and physical and emotional, moral, that they haven't sought help for or gotten through. They've chosen to medicate themselves with drugs and alcohol, again, not seeking help. And somehow, some way, they exist. I want to tell you about a veteran who Peggy and I had the pleasure of dealing with recently and why he became homeless. He was not a Vietnam veteran. He was a younger veteran who we got a call the day before Christmas Eve, who was homeless and he was hungry. He was at a local church in Marietta enjoying a warm meal. And the gentleman at the church, the volunteer, called me and said, we've got to be able to do something for this guy. It's cold, day after tomorrow's Christmas. What can we do? So they put him up for a hotel for a night, and I said, I'll pick up the rest. I'll come meet him at the hotel. Christmas Eve, went over there, took him food, clothing, fresh undergarments. We have backpacks here that we'll show you guys in a minute that you can see. Hygiene kits for him to take a shower, have a little dignity. Went over and took care of him, and as we were talking with him about how did this happen to you? Well, he had some emotional problems, and he had some intellectual challenges going on. He was injured during his service, and he lost his debit card and his wallet. He's originally from Florida, and when he went to the bank to try and get help with replacing his debit card, he couldn't prove who he was. He didn't have the ability to figure out that he could go and request a birth certificate or something like that to prove to the bank. So he didn't have a debit card. What I didn't tell you is he's rated 100% disability. So he receives almost $3,800 a month. There's no reason this man should be homeless. He just couldn't access his money. He couldn't remember his bank account number, and he had no way to prove who he was so that the bank would let him access his money. He roamed our streets for a year. 1 year. I'm happy to say that through work with not only United Military Care, but some other great organizations, he's now in his own apartment, and he's doing just fine. And that's what we want to do. We want to take care of the homeless, take care of the hungry and the forgotten. Bill was homeless, Bill was hungry, and Bill was most definitely forgotten. He's not anymore. He's doing very well. That's what we do, and that's what we focus on. We are a nonprofit 501c3 charity serving all Georgia veterans since 2012. We've helped over 15,000 veterans that we've actually touched and had interaction with. And our motto is we leave no veterans behind. Any veteran of any age can come to us for any reason whatsoever, and we're not going to leave you behind. The way we look at it is this: you survived. Now we want to help you thrive. We promise to respond immediately. If you get an answering machine, you're going to get a call back. If you send us an email, you're going to get a return email. If you knock on our door, we're going to open up the door. We're going to triage the situation, determine what's going on, deal with the emergency first, Anybody who's ever taken a humanities class, you've heard of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are few things that you have to have before you can be successful, before you can even keep a job and have a family and have a good spirit in life. And that is, you have to have a roof over your head. You have to be safe, feel safe and be sheltered. You have to have food. And you have to know that somebody cares whether you wake up tomorrow. I hope nobody in this room has ever felt like that. We say that there's a lot of worse things than being dead, and that's being forgotten while you're alive. That will crush a spirit quicker than anything. So after we've treated the emergencies, we provide the plan and support, and we help you thrive. Our goal, again, no hungry, homeless, or forgotten veterans. What we've done is we've seen the need, and we decided that we needed to reach more veterans. We needed to shake a few cages, knock on a few doors, and make people realize that many of our veterans are struggling. Many in this room are doing just fine, and that's wonderful. But many of your brothers and sisters are struggling. Whether they're working hard to keep a roof over their head, afford their medication and their meals, or they're just lonely. Being lonely is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day on the human body. Scientific fact. If you're lonely all the time, you don't think anybody cares, what's your motivation? If you don't have a house of worship that you can go to, people that you can love on and can love on you, where are you at in this life? Paints a very bleak picture. And I know many of you have heard about the numbers of suicides and death by suicide. What you might not know is that the majority of those are people over 50 years old. The number is higher than 22 a day. That's what's advertised. The number's higher than that. How do I know that? Because I know how they came to get that number. The same way they came to say that military families don't struggle with food. I've got a prize for the first person in here who can tell me how they calculate that. Anybody? They count the number of men and women who go to a commissary and use food stamps. What happens to the people who use those food stamps at Walmart or Publix or Kroger? They're not counted. Only those that go to a commissary, because that's the only data, the only way they can verify that somebody is military and using food stamps. So that number is much higher. Again, if the priority was on our veterans and those men and women who serve, I think we would find other ways to accurately diagnose what the real problems are and thus come up with solutions to do it. Peggy and I are convinced we're going to do that. Don't know how long it's going to take us, don't know how high that hill is and how hard of a walk it's going to be, but we're going to figure out a way to do it. No homeless, no hungry, no forgotten veterans. So in May, we got a big idea. We want to save the world. Rabbi, how many people do you hear say that they want to save the world? Well, we really do want to save the world. So we have come up with a fair, and it's called the We Care, because we do care about our veterans. It's for all veterans and their spouses, their children. It's going to take place at the Cobb County Civic Center, May 13th and 14th. You can come and get help with legal representation. I know nobody in here would ever have a criminal offense you need help with, but if you did, you could come and get free representation and help there. But if you don't have a will or a power of attorney or an advance directive and you don't understand how those work, instead of spending the money to do that, no offense to any of the attorneys in the room, I'm not trying to take your business away. You can go and you can come to the fair and sign up and meet with an attorney from Emory School of Law, Home Depot, and several other agencies and get that done at no cost to you. They can explain to you why you need to have those things in place. We'll have members from the Veterans Administration, the Department of Veteran Services. You can sign up for benefits. You can file appeals, file claims. You can find organizations that care about you and can help you to age safely in place. documents that you might need to have that are recommended that you have, or if you want to age in an assisted situation, information will be there about that as well. Things you can do for fun, like boxing for veterans. It's a new program that's out, and it's fantastic. It actually was started to help people with multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's, and it's proven. The director has a dual diagnosis of both Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis, and she has been in remission for 3 years working with this boxing program. That's out there for you at no cost. There are a lot of people who really care about you. And I know, Rabbi, you had alluded before about in your prayer what happens when somebody says thank you for your service. I didn't serve. So I try to use my actions as the way I say thank you for the men and women who have served. There are a lot of people out there that care. They may not have shown it when you came home from Vietnam, but there are people that do care. We do care. We want you to know that we appreciate everything that you've done. So Mr. Butler has a sign-up sheet. I'm here today to ask you to be ambassadors at our event, to greet other veterans as they come in. Some will be homeless. Some will be doing just fine, just like you, and are curious. You didn't get the welcome home that you deserved, but maybe you can help us welcome those other veterans and make them feel at home when they come to our fair. So John's got a sign-up sheet over there. I would love to have everybody sign up for 3-hour shift on one of those days. Come be an ambassador, sit in the canteen, and have a cup of coffee with another veteran and talk to them. Let them know they're not forgotten while they enjoy a free meal so they're not hungry. And if they're in jeopardy of losing their home or they don't have a home, we've got people on the spot to get that taken care of that day. We have postcards for you also that we can pass out. And we have some buttons and some wristbands. I encourage you, if you take a wristband, please give it to a veteran that you don't know. It may be somebody's life that you're saving. That brief interaction, that smile. Say, hey, I know you served, I served too. When did you know about this? That may very well be what saves that person's life. So I'd appreciate you sharing those things. Peggy, can you pass some of those things out? The buttons and the wristbands? If you want a wristband or a button, raise your hand. May 13, 14. It's at the Cobb County Civic Center. We've pulled up, we took 10 years of data. United Military Care will be 10 years old this year. We cataloged and tabulated every phone call, email, case, and interaction that we've worked. And we came up with 11 pillars of care, from legal to financial wellness, to physical and mental wellness, veteran involvement, aging in place, aging with assistance, and on and on. And we came up with 11 pillars. And underneath each of those pillars are 5 to 10 solutions that professionals in those areas are donating their professional time for you, for what you have done for us and for our country on that weekend. So any veterans at all that you know, we would love to have you guys out to volunteer. Come by, all the meals are free. We're providing all the meals for free. Have a sandwich and a cup of coffee in the canteen. See what we're all about. And join us as we try to take care of those who served. Do I have any questions? Yes, sir. Colonel Mike Patelis.
Let me just first say this. I had a distinct privilege of working with him under what we call Operation John.
So we're not hearing you.
He's getting you the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
I used to work with the colonel. I can hear him anytime he talks. Believe me.
Let me just say this. Kim is real. Her organization is real, and I had the distinct privilege of working with her for 5 years as the director of military affairs for Operation Homefront, and then a small period of time that. One thing that I would suggest: everybody take an armband, put it on your arm, Sometime between now and this event, you're going to come in contact with a person who's a homeless veteran. You won't really know it. Take the armband off and put it on them so they can remember what it's about. There is no better organization, to my knowledge, than what Kim and her people have done and what Kim has dedicated her and her family to do. And if you give a damn, and if you care, and you can spare the time, keep him in your prayers and participate in this event. Even if you just drop by and say hello, that counts. And like I said, if you've got it, take an armband and find a vet, a homeless vet, and put it on them so they'll remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel.
Sure.
It was my pleasure to work with you. We had a lot of good times running up down the road to Fort Stewart and Fort Benning and Fort Gordon. And I was telling somebody the other day, Mike spearheaded if you're familiar with the Fisher House organization, they go and they build homes for families and support systems for wounded service members to stay at while they're in the hospital. And Fort Gordon, when we were heavy in Iraq and Afghanistan, called one day and said, the Fisher houses are full. We've got people who can't afford to go in hotel rooms. And this is when Mike and I were serving active duty families. Mike said, I know what we're going to do. We're going to get some property over there that's not being used on the post, and we're going to turn it into 2 fully functioning homes that has everything in it for a family when they come in. And he did just that. So it was my honor to work with you, sir. Thank you. Another thing that we want to do is we want to make you aware of these kits that we provide at no cost. How many of you know, as a veteran, if you receive your primary care through the Veterans Administration, Health Services, that if you are taken to a civilian hospital and do not communicate within 72 hours, that you have VA health insurance, you are responsible for the bill. We get time and time again, veterans will call us and say, I just got a bill for $12,000 or $18,000. I couldn't tell them otherwise, or I forgot to tell them, or they didn't ask. Well, we want to stop that. So these kits are available for free. It identifies you to law enforcement and first responders as a veteran.
You put that on your refrigerator. It's got magnets.
It's magnetized on the back. You fill it out, who they should call if you can't communicate, but it indicates that you are a veteran. You also have a call card in here for your billfold and for the dash or console of your car that also identifies you as a veteran. I teach de-escalation at the police academies involving veterans, especially with post-traumatic stress and homelessness, and teach the new police officers and seasoned police officers how to de-escalate situations. And one of the ways I tell them to do so is to know what you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a combat veteran, don't expect to get it within 3 feet of them, speaking loudly, overly assertive, and him ask you to have tea. It's just not going to happen. You've invaded their space. Just as if you're a law enforcement officer and somebody comes into your space, you've already done a threat assessment and determined how you're going to take that person down and how you're going to leave the situation. So this will also, you can indicate on here if you have post-traumatic stress, if you have anger management issues you're seeking help for, if you have weapons in your home. And the only reason that we ask you to let people know is if you're unable to communicate, even if you are a safe, responsible owner of weapons, you don't know what you'll do when you're scared to death or you're having an episode. What we don't want to happen is for a police officer to notice a handgun and think it's an aggressive situation. All of that information is right here, and it's free. So if anybody would like one of these, we have them over here. You can see Peggy or I can get one of these to fill out for your home. And if you need them for a group or anything, let us know so we can get some more printed. I don't have anything else to add other than, and I don't know if it's appropriate that I say this, but from my heart, welcome home. Thank you. Yes, sir.
something like those kits that you were just indicating, how do they get assembled? Do you need help?
We can always use help. Peggy sets up volunteers that come in and take the pre-printed materials and package them. Or if you want to work from home while you're watching the ball game or your favorite program on TV, we can give you a stack and they can be put together and dropped back at our office.
Would you let us know how to do that?
Absolutely, we'll be glad to. What other questions do you have? I know somebody's got questions. Yes, sir.
Not a question, a comment.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you did not serve. That's not true. You are serving, and you are still serving admirably. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Both my father and my father-in-law. My father-in-law was Army Ranger, served 4 tours in Vietnam, and he passed many years ago due to effects of Agent Orange. My father was in the silos during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was with Strategic Air Command, and it just goes all the way back. So I didn't take the oath because at the time I was coming up, if there are any female veterans in here, no offense is needed, but my father said, absolutely, a woman does not join the military. She should be in the kitchen, so that didn't happen for me. I became a police officer instead for a little while, so what other questions do you have for me? The rabbi broke the ice, so anybody? Yes, sir.
What kind of volunteers?
We can use volunteers all the time. Right now, we're going to focus on asking everybody to participate in the May 13th, 14th, and then we will funnel volunteer opportunities or make those available to Skip or John for them to disseminate and let you know. You can always take our information and call us if it's something that you want to do.
Is that the number to call?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our number and everything is on the back here. Download your free tickets, the information that we care, Vet Fair. But all the information is here. If it's not something for you, please give it to another veteran. It might be a life that you save. Or if it's a dependent, a spouse. We're working with, Peggy's working with a spouse of a Vietnam veteran right now who can't afford hearing aids and has desperately needed them for years. And VA doesn't cover that for her. You'd be really surprised how much the VA doesn't cover for spouses, especially. Peggy's working with her and made one phone call, and within the week she'll go and be measured for her hearing aids because we believe that she served and she needs them. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I've found around Atlanta is that there are a lot of homeless people. We don't know if they're really homeless or not, but they're out begging on the roadside with their little cardboard sign, and it says homeless and so forth. Well, I have some printed up cards that give the telephone number of the Veterans Helpline and the United Way. And I ask them, are they a veteran? And if they say yes, I hand them one of these cards. Do you have something like that?
We do. Have you ever called the United Way 211?
Yeah, it's impossible for them to answer. They don't.
So we don't do that. And so we respond to our own calls. We're not clinicians or anything like that, but Peggy and I are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
Because there is not an agency other than the crisis line, which, by the way, is now going to turn into 988 instead of a 10-digit number, effective in June. So if you know somebody in crisis, you can tell them to dial 988 like you would 411 or 911, and they will be connected to the crisis line. We don't have anything that can take care of those problems, and other than say, call us. When you're ready to come off the street, call us.
Well, just add your name and number to my card.
Just not my cell phone, please.
Yes. Thank you.
My husband already doesn't like the 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls from the police department saying, we've got a homeless veteran over here that needs you. So I can only imagine his thoughts if it was ringing all the time. So what else do you have for me? What questions or comments or concerns? And let me throw this out there. He just brought up a really good point. How many of you have been driving down the road and you've heard the stories, you've seen them on the news, that some guy is posing as a homeless person or some woman, and they turn around at the end of the day and somebody comes and picks them up in a van, or they go around the corner and get in their Mercedes or their Cadillac or that and the other. Smoking cigarettes, drinking liquor, this and that and the other. I'm going to give you a really good piece of advice that my priest gave me one time when I went and I talked to him about that. And he said, what you do for the good of God is between you and God. What they do is their business. At the end of the day, God's not going to ask them, when he's thinking about what I've done, how they spent the money or the bus ticket or the food. He's going to ask me, did I give everything I could? So, hard lesson, kind of in your face, but I think very appropriate. Any other questions, and I'll get out of your hair and away from the podium. Any thoughts? Concerns? Anybody have a joke? Anything? Is everybody awake out there? Okay. Okay. So we've got materials up here if you want to look at the backpacks we provide for both female and male veterans. If you want to look and see what's inside that we collect those little hotel, motel soaps and shampoos and things like that. So if you travel or if you have a lot of those sitting around, don't throw them away. They can go stay out of the landfill and go to help somebody. Peggy and I are here. If we can help, let us know. Thank you guys very much.
Kim, one of the things that we do in lieu of money is we present our presenters with a copy of our book
Thank you.
and one of our coins. This book is a compilation of stories by the people that you see here about their experiences in Vietnam. I like to say if you're having trouble sleeping, it'll help you out. I also like to say that some of those stories are actually true. So I hope you enjoy that. And
I will. My father-in-law never got to tell his story, nor my father. So I will remember them through your stories. Thank you very much.
thanks, Kim.
Thank you.